Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everybody. You are most welcome in this second session of the day. Very good afternoon to everyone and most welcome to our speaker who has joined us, I think 10 minutes before, Dr. Zohur Ahmed. If you can please unmute yourselves. Dr. Zohur, if you can unmute yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
I've muted myself. Assalamu alaikum.
So most welcome, sir, to this meeting over here. So this afternoon, we were looking for your lecture. In the first half, we had a lecture from Nitya Rao from UK, and you were our second speaker. That's yourself. You are most welcome. Meeting. Before I request you for your presentation, may I just introduce you to my participants. This is our speaker, Dr. Zohur Ahmed Ganai, the son of the soil, presently as a global R&D scientist, herbicide discovery. That's an FMC corporation, Philadelphia, United States. He has graduated from SUCAST K in agriculture sciences, then post-graduated from Haryana Agriculture University, Department of Agronomy, and doctorate from University of Nebraska, Lincoln, United States. And both these post-graduations, the as well as doctorate, they were as a part of his fellowship. He has earned the JRF for his PG and then ICR International Fellowship for his PhD at United States. And then he has remained there, I can say like that. So he has remained there and adjusted himself there, and presently in the FMC Corporation, Philadelphia, United States. This little about the Dr. Zohur. I can say what I have heard from his teachers, that he was excellent. You can say par excellent in his studies, and he has been altogether meritorious throughout his graduation, post-graduation, and doctorate. Most welcome, Zohur, in this meeting. We are blessed to have you with us this afternoon, and I am very humbled to have you here for the interaction with our participants. Our participants are from both agriculture as well as veterinary and fishery sciences. They are all, you can say, the faculty members, and they are from all over the country. It's not from this coast only. We have participants from Tamil Nadu to Kashmir. So it's a diversity, I can say, over here. So over to you, Dr. Zohur, over to you. You can share your screen, please.
Thanks, Dr. Pampuri, for this nice introduction. I would please, I'm requesting, if I can share my screen.
Sure, sure. You are allowed to share your screen, please. Go ahead.
All right. Just to confirm, everybody can see my screen,
yes,
right?
Yes, sustainable agriculture research and technology needs to address food security.
Yeah, let me go into presentation mode. Once again, thanks for this nice introduction. And thanks to the organizers, Dr. Zohur Pampuri, sir, to invite me for this and give me this opportunity.
My pleasure.
I'm, feeling honored to, to present you some of my thoughts on sustainability, which is one of the issues, that has become very important. And food security is something, when I talk to myself, what I'm doing, is it worth? And I find my satisfaction in this thing. So I will share some of my ideas. I know this is a pretty broad area and a huge concern right now globally. And in my role, I get to talk to people from different parts of the world, Australia, Europe, India, and all other parts, because in the discovery side, what we are working on right now has applicability, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, because it takes a long time for a product to get from discovery to the commercialization. So this whole training, I think, has evolved from the concept, or the global development goals, sustainability development goals, and among those top ones are poverty and zero hunger. And and this is really an interesting example of why we are living in a global village where we have the same problems in different parts of the world. And United Nations brings us together in this developmental goals, and we can share our experiences and ways how we see those problems in different nations, and how we can address them collectively, and how we can share that information so that overall global uh, indicators of life develop throughout the world. So first of all, before I start the agronomy side of our things, how the food sustainability and environmental impact will affect our food security in the future, I wanted to spend a couple minutes on understanding the problem globally right now. So when we talk about the global hunger, this is a global hunger index right now from 2019. And if you see in this map here, you can see that you know most of this hunger, which is serious, or at the level of alarming situation, that is in most of these South African nations and Asian nations, or South Asian nations. And what goes into calculation of this global hunger index is undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. And the good news is that from 2000, this index has come down from 29 to 20, which is a good news. But when we look at the statistics of the hunger statistics right now, the numbers have actually increased from 722 to 821 or 22, around that number. And why is that? Because the undernourishment has increased across the globe. So right now, 1 in every 3 persons is suffering from some kind of malnutrition. So this is a really heartbreaking, statistic when we think about people who are facing one or the other, form of hunger or malnutrition. This is really something that is, not good happening in this world. And there are several different reasons why it's happening. And one of the biggest reason that we have, it's not that we don't have enough food to feed everyone on this globe right now. The irony is that we have enough food to feed every single person, but 1/3 of that food is lost or wasted. When I say lost, it's lost before it leaves the farm gate, and waste, it means once it leaves the farm and reaches those distribution channels and consumers even. So looking at these different food categories that FAO has come up with the numbers, um, so almost 50% or 45% of our fruits and vegetables are lost. 30% of our cereals go to waste. Same way, root and tuber crops, 45%. These losses are huge, and they are very concerning. And when we think about food production, what is spent on growing this food? What kind of resources? Almost more than 20% of our land resources are used for food production. 32% of the energy goes into food production, and above all, 70% of the fresh water resources that are utilized for food production. So when we think about that, 1/3 of our food goes to waste, we are basically wasting 1/3 of these resources as well. And on top of that, when the food goes into the waste in the landfills or dustbins, it again becomes a source of pollution, because when it starts decaying and decomposing, it becomes source of methane, source of carbon dioxide. So this is a double whammy kind of situation where we have millions of people who are hungry, and on top of that, we are wasting food, and we are wasting these resources, and create having this additional source of pollution. And I will talk about more, in slides, how agriculture is actually a major contributor to the global, or has a major role in the environmental, changes. So now talking about this hunger and poverty, we cannot solve one, while ignoring the other. So that is how, these two have become the top goals of this, sustainability development, initiative. So this is a vicious cycle. When you have poverty, people don't have enough to spend on food. They go, again, poor health and then shift their focus from other developmental opportunities, education, and other things that they could have uh, developed, and then those people become unemployable, and then poverty, and this vicious cycle actually never ends. This is the huge problem. They go hand in hand. So if we want to address the issue of food loss and wastage, we have to address the poverty as well at the same time. And how we can do this? It can be done at different levels. That is why United Nations provides that platform to everyone to share their information and opportunities and the knowledge and experience in doing this. So at different levels, governmental level, farm level, in the distribution chain, and above all, the interesting thing is we as individuals, we are using food, we are involved in this food industry at one or the other point. We can play a great role if we, you know, uh, are aware enough to do that. We can, make initiatives and reduce the food losses. So governmental level, the first thing is what gets measured gets managed. If we don't know how much is the food loss, we'll never pay attention to it. So that is the first and foremost thing. And the government can do, a lot of things like development of the post-harvest infrastructure, cold storages, post-harvest processing units are needed in different parts of the world, and especially in the developing nations. Refrigerated transportation systems are needed. Better post-harvest management, post-harvest, pest management, research and development needs, and those kind of things, and efficient food marketing and distribution systems are needed. So these are just some high and dry, things that mostly governmental level. But we as scientists, what we can do, there is, I found these, some interesting uh, companies are who are doing things on this area, reducing the food loss. I wanted to just present them as an example. This is not a promotion of anything or criticism of any organization. I just wanted to that there are research and technology examples that we can adopt in our country as well. So this appeal is one. What they are doing, they're using the natural waxes from fruits and vegetables and trying to use on the fresh fruits and enhancing their shelf life. So here is a photo on this top right screen. You can see that the use of their technology, they were able to at 27 days after harvest, with their technology, these apples are fresh without they are just started decomposing. So we lot of opportunities and thoughts. I'm sure our post harvest department and university is working on these issues, and then they need to commercialize those things as well. And then there are other examples that I wanted to present. One, methyl cyclopropene, a compound that is a plant synthetic hormone that's used to extend the shelf life of fresh fruits and vegetables. Another technology that I found is blue apple. So what they are doing, they are using these kind of an apple-shaped device, which you can put in your, produce in your refrigerator, and it will absorb ethylene and extend your shelf life of the fruits by vegetables or other foods by 3 times. And then there are other, opportunities or technologies available which are artificial intelligence based to match the supply and demand situation. So what that means is, linking the food wastage. I was thinking, if we can link the food wastage to the, reduction of economic accessibility of food, how that can happen. A lot of the produce that comes to the market, or you will see in the grocery, sometimes doesn't have that quality parameters. You don't like the look of the fruit or vegetable, and then that's why you don't buy it. But if there will be opportunities or things done to improve the likability, or people will get those foods at lower cost, that will help in providing more economic accessibility of those foods. And some of the examples that I found that we should follow more often is, by the time the food reaches the sell by date, the price keeps going down. So here is an example here, sell by date is 15. So 15 April in this situation, and it's 1.8. And when the sell by date is far enough, then the price is higher. So this is to encourage people to buy the food that is about to go, expire or things like that. And then next thing I wanted to show one of the initiatives here that we should think about, we should have in our, part of the world as well. I will share this video very quick, this short video. Please. Food waste is one of the most easily solvable problems, not only about 20% of apples. So this was, some of the, like, I found this interesting. It will be very interesting and thought provoking for most of us, because we as consumers, we waste a lot of food. I do it myself. I buy a lot of food and then I cannot finish it in a week or so, and then it goes to waste. We as an individuals, we can do a lot, in reducing the food waste. So now switching the gear and coming back to what I wanted to talk about and what I am basically, trained in, and that is the agronomy part of the, things. So challenges to the future food production are, many. We know that the global population is going to reach 9 billion by 2050, and the demand for food is predicted to increase by almost 70%. And there's an increasing pressure on our resources which we use for food production, including the land, because when there will be more population, we will need more roads, we will need more houses, we will need more businesses. So that they will, put a lot of pressure on the land resources, and there's an increasing pressure on water, and then environmental resources are being, threatened. And we have the problem of climate change, and it's getting, it's not getting better, it's getting worse and worse uh, every passing year. So then what that boils down is, in future we need more food using fewer, or probably, using same or most probably fewer resources, natural resources. And while doing that, we have to reduce the environmental impact of our agriculture. And what is the adverse environmental impact? As I talked earlier, that I will discuss that a little bit in detail. So agriculture is one of the major contributor of global environmental change, whether it's, climate change, deforestation, desertification, and other, marine ecosystem impacts. So why is that? Because agriculture actually contributes 30% of global greenhouse gases. It uses almost 20 to 40% of the global land. It uses 70% of the fresh water. So overall, agriculture is a main contributor. It has a huge environmental footprint, but in return, this is the industry, or this is the area which will get affected by a huge margin by the climate change and global warming. So then it comes to the point that if we continue to do what we are, probably we will fall short of food in future. So somewhere we have to stop doing, or we have to change our ways of, doing what we are doing in terms of agriculture. So then comes the need for sustainable, agriculture. Sustainability basically refers to meeting the current needs of food and quality without compromising the potential of our, natural, system to, for the future generations, to meet their needs. So sometimes this sustainable agriculture gets confused with organic agriculture or green agriculture. it's not actually, it's not something that's against technology. Sustainable agriculture is a technology intensive or integrative process where you have to use, different ways in a balanced manner so that you can save the environment or reduce the environmental footprint, but again produce enough food to meet the demands. That means you have to take care of soil health, biodiversity, environment, water resources. You have to use them pretty efficiently, reduce the greenhouse emissions coming from the agricultural activities, and do integrated weed management or other pest control processes. So then one of the concepts that has found a good place in the sustainable agriculture is the conservation agriculture. Agriculture is basically based on three important principles. One of them is do the minimum possible tillage, because tillage is considered as a practice that is you know devastating our soil in a way that it breaks the soil structure, reduces the soil um, life, soil organisms, causes soil erosion. And then the second concept is second principle of conservation agriculture is maintaining a permanent soil organic cover, so that that helps the soil in you know maintaining that high level of organic matter, avoid soil compaction, and reduces the impact of weather changes, certain weather changes. And then the third concept in the conservation agriculture is species diversification. Diversification of the crops that we grow in our agricultural or cropping systems. That helps in fostering a diverse range of the soil life, and enhancing the nutrient cycling and plant nutrition, and reduces the pressure of different diseases and breaks those disease, insect, and weed cycles. So if I talk about more about the global adoption rate of conservation agriculture, it's mostly adopted. It has found a good adoption rate in some of the developed nations, and some of the developing countries like our India. It's picking up, but it's not at the level where it should be. So if we talk about the now coming back to India, why they need conservation agricultural practices. We have rice wheat cropping system that provided or made India self-sufficient in 1960s onwards, because there was a huge growth rate in crops like wheat, rice, and that was higher than the population growth rate. That's why we have surplus food in India right now. And but in the later part of that 90s, the scientists have started observing some of the issues, you know which are very concerned, needs to be addressed. Some of those issues were, soil fatigue. There was no, increase in the food product. The productivity was not increasing. A continuous decrease in the input use efficiency, and declining water table, especially in our, high productivity areas, Punjab and Haryana. The water table is receding pretty fast. So those kind of situations are issues. When they were noticed, then agronomists, agriculturists, they started thinking, is it enough? What we are doing, can we continue to do, be self-sufficient? And I found this interesting paper from University of Nebraska, because there is in University of Nebraska there are a couple things that are really globally focused. One is their water resource institute, and the other one is the big data. So what they are trying to do, they're trying to assess the yield gaps in different parts of the world, how the yield gains, and over the years what is happening in different cropping systems. So they have even in this graph on rice, wheat, and maize, on the right side of this slide, we can see on x-axis we can see the years, on y-axis we can see the product. And if you pay attention, you will see the productivity gains in India started very well earlier, but they have leveled off one of the lowest among all these different countries. So we have not even reached we are the least in rice productivity, and it has started leveling off by this 2010. Again with the wheat, the leveling off effect is more. You can see this white squares here. We are not making any progress. The productivity is not increasing. Same thing with the maize. So there is something that we are missing. Why our productivity levels never reached, even in the middle of that range, where people have reached, like China, this red thing, they are in the middle, but they have made huge gains compared to us. And so these are some of the issues that are worrisome, and some of the experts globally, they have, there are papers available where they are saying probably in next 10 years India might not be self-sufficient. And that is not something cool. That's not something we want to hear or we want to be at. So if we look at, and there were some of the papers from India that were published, on this, real trends in the rice wheat cropping system, which is feeding most of the population in India right now. You can see that in this productivity graph on the bottom right side here, you can see that there's a clear decline in the productivity, especially of the rice. The rice productivity is going pretty down. I think wheat is still, flat, but rice productivity is going pretty down, and overall production on top, you can see compared to 2001, 2002 is, down, and this trend is, going towards, the direction where we don't want it to go. And then the risk is, we might have a risk of becoming an importer again for cereals. That will be a challenging process. So then the people, different policymakers and, scientists, agronomists, all different aspects of, agriculture, they came together and they tried to find out or piece out what is the reason, what is happening. So they found there is yield stagnation, yield gap, receding water table. So these are some of the issues. And then they're trying to find the causes for them, like, is it low nutrient use efficiency, or is it imbalance in the fertilizer use? Is it we don't have the high yielding varieties, or do we have high yielding varieties only in the irrigated system? Because we have different areas in India which are rain fed. Do we need to focus on developing varieties for those areas? Is it residue burning? What are different causes that are, holding us back from, gaining those, yield gains? And is it the late sowing of wheat because we have a rice wheat cropping system? The wheat planting gets delayed. Is it that? So all different possibilities. This is not an exclusive list. This is some of the things that were, uh, proposed, but it can be, more than this, because the agro systems, agronomic, cropping systems are pretty diverse than we can think, and they're pretty dynamic. Some issues might be prominent in, first decade, and then they might be not the prominent issues in the coming years. So then some of the solutions of conservation agriculture that were thought that they might help, know, uh, in the Indian rice wheat cropping system. And one of the technology that was introduced in the late 90s was this zero till wheat. So what it was proposing, that we don't have to go for this, the kind of tillage that we are doing, heavy tillage couple times. And what it is going to do, it was, later on, there are several publications. And the challenge for this technology, it was very hard for people to adopt in the states of Haryana, Punjab, because there is a cultural association with tillage. People find that when they do the tillage, they find themselves they're doing something in the field, and so whether they had a benefit of tillage or not, or they had an alternative which could reduce the cost, people were not ready to adopt those technologies. So over the years, there have been different publications which have, talked about the success of zero-till wheat, including reduced cost of production, because tillage is one of the expensive operations in your, field preparation. 30% of the cost basically goes to tillage, enhancement of the soil quality, and then long-term carbon sequestration. This is something really interesting, because if you have followed recently, now there is a talk that companies are going to support sustainable agricultural practices by offering carbon credits. So they pay cash to people, on following, to growers for following the sustainable practices. So this carbon sequestration is a really interesting, impact. And then the other things that have, happened are, enhancement in water and nutrient use efficiency, enhancement of production and productivity, and reduction in the greenhouse emissions. And the other sustainable technology that is proposed for the rice wheat cropping system in India is the direct seeded rice, because right now the rice that is mostly cultivated is by transplanted rice, and there is shortage of labor, increase in the wage rate, and decline in water resources, as I'm talking about it repeatedly. Water, saving in the alternative technologies like direct seeded rice. Economic factors are not favorable for the transplanted rice right now, and then potential of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions in the direct seeded rice, because in direct seeded rice the technology is that we don't keep the fields flooded. There, the water is, alternate wetting and drying, so that that helps in improving the water use efficiency, and it's also has been found that it helps in reducing the methane emission from the rice paddies. But there are other challenges in the rice, direct seeded rice system. Weed management is one of the biggest challenge to direct seeded rice, because because that stagnation of helping, in the weed management. And then there are, varietal needs, what kind of hybrids will be more suitable for the direct seeded rice. Irrigation management and the laser leveling has played a great role in the success of direct seeded rice so far. Soil test based nutrient management. So these are some of the techniques that are very much needed for the rice system. And then other, the third principle that I talked about in the conservation agriculture is crop diversification. So this is an important factor that we across the nation in India and in other developing countries need to, pay attention. And this is a when you think about, this is an unacceptable or unthinkable idea, because people are used to rice wheat cropping system. In Kashmir, we are used to growing rice in most of our areas, and in some parts where hilly areas we're used to grow maize. It's pretty hard for people to, you know, accept that we will be growing something else. But this is the need of the, situation is that crop diversification is very important factor that might help in, reducing the impact of, what is going on right now, but at the same time will help in increasing the productivity and overall production over the years. And what those crop diversification factors are, they might be different in Kashmir, in Haryana, in other parts of, South India, because every single farm is uh, unique in its, opportunities and resources and problems. So that is the I will talk about in coming slides about the precision agriculture. So in US, what one thing that we can understand right now is, in US they adopted the zero tillage. They adopted, but they didn't adopt cover crops earlier on, then, and they complicated their problem of weed resistance. Now they are going back to the situation of, tillage. And then there were recently that are talking about that probably we are losing those gains that we made through, you know the zero tillage or minimum tillage, because we didn't pay attention to crop diverse cover crops. So we can learn from those experiences, and there are, literature is available, collaborations are available right now. And if India is, going big in conservation agriculture, then they should take into account what mistakes were made in the countries who already did it, and so they cannot repeat those mistakes, or they should mistakes. And in India, the farm holding size is pretty small, and it's decreasing year by year. If you see here, in 1976, 77, it was, average farm size was 2 hectares. Now it's 95, it was 1.4. Now it's, one, or even might be, less than one. That is one part of the, picture. And the other side is that the urbanization is going at a high rate. Here you can see that India is, will be the rate of urbanization in India is high. So that in other terms means that people who are involved in agriculture are moving away from the rural areas. The workforce is moving away from rural areas and finding jobs in other sectors, service sectors or industry. So for us to hold people back and keep doing agriculture, because with the low farm size, our agriculture in India is not, it's not a commercial agriculture. It's the subsistence based agriculture in most of the states. So what is needed? I think one of the things that will help in that situation when we have less workforce available, there is farm mechanization, and that farm mechanization is considered usually as a high, resource or intensive factor. But our farm mechanization in India has to be different. It has to be small scale farm mechanization. You know, whether it's for some tools to enhance our fertilizer placement, seeding, harvesting, something that will be economical and will help us to do things pretty quick and in an economic way. So one of the small examples that I could find, it's pretty hard to apply fertilizers or pesticides in our rice crop or in our crop when we are broadcasting things. So this tool I just found as an example that what that small farm mechanization means. This is a clear example. It can be anything that will help, reduce the requirement of the labor, that will make it economical, and that will make it efficient. Resource efficiency is most important. And then precision agriculture has become a big deal in all parts of the world right now. So what basically it means, every single farm is a unique uh, system in terms of resources, variabilities in space and temperature, time, in terms of different resources, weather parameters. So the management has to be farm specific. We cannot recommend a grower go and apply 100 kgs of fertilizer in whole of your field per hectare, because he might have some areas where he has enough uh, nitrogen available, but he might have pockets where there is not enough. Same way the resources have to be applied in a way, in a precise manner, so that we can improve the efficiency and also not waste our resources, because all these fertilizers, pesticides, water, these are non-renewable resources. These are hard to and that is why precision agriculture has become very important. And right now there are some constraints in these precision tools like robots or these drones, because they can huge loads. So that makes it perfectly suitable for Indian system, because our farm holding size is small. So I think we can do operations. And then the question comes: is it economic? There is a huge cost involvement in this. But the concept of custom sharing, one person can buy, and then they can because these are fast tools, they quickly, and then they can rent it to others. Those kind of things can work out pretty nicely. And then there is a concept of as I talked about it, specific site specific fertilization, nutrient management, site specific pest management. Then you know now the different tools, if we want to, field mapping is very important. The data that comes out of the field has become a new, it will become a new currency. What I mean by that is the unit of your field where you people have to collect the data. What is the yield potential of that piece of the land or the other piece of the land, so that they can go back, look at that data, and then try to address that issue. So this is a concept that is proposed, that in future there will be companies who will be investing in this kind of output based input system. So they will know what is the potential of your land, then they will provide the investment in that, and then based on what is the potential, the insurance policy will work in that way, so that the risk sharing happens. Because agriculture is again a fight against nature. A lot of times a grower does a lot of investment in the seed, in all the inputs, but then there's a risk if he will get anything out of it or not. So then there will be in the developed countries, it has already started. Now the companies invest, they provide you inputs based on what is your yield potential, what is your resource base, and then they will share the risk. I think that will sometime in future that might come to India as well, and then these tools will be important. So now coming to the situation of Kashmir, where I come from, and I hold dear to my heart, the agricultural systems in Kashmir. So when I think about the problems in the apple cultivation in Kashmir, monoculture of delicious group of varieties is a huge problem. We have, reduced the diversity of apple cultivars so much. Right now, you will not find all those different cultivars that were available. Um, and then old traditional orchard, system is there. And these are some of the problems. Like apple scape is a big issue for us. Risk of fungicide resistance, and we don't have any support system where we have like evaluated if there is resistance or how big of a problem is that. Nutrient imbalance is prevalent, and then unstandardized pesticide application technology is a big issue. So some of the research needs, which will make our rice are important for our apple cultivation in Kashmir. Cultivar diversification is very important. Not only different cultivars, we have to move away from delicious group. We have to use some other cultivars as well, which are high yielding and have scape resistance as well. High density orchards is a concept that has been, that is people have started, have started following and is needed. Integrated scab and disease management, integrated nutrient management is very important. Standardization of the pesticide application technology is very important. We don't have any concept of what nozzle we should use, what pressure, what is the problem of off target uh, drift and other issues. We are just going there and using whatever nozzle we get, using those motorized, and that is so inefficient because we have so much of water in applying these fungicides. And that's why I think drones will have an important application in the rice, in the apple cultivation in Kashmir, because the efficiency and the amount of water that we apply in the uh, pesticide application will be reduced so much with these drones. That is based on what I have read about these drone based applications in different parts of the world. Almost 60-70% less water will be required to apply these pesticides and get the same level of efficacy. I think these are some of the research needs different professors, researchers in university should think about. And then our we what we usually do, till our fields in the rice, the apple fields, we should think about green strip or sod management in the apple orchards, and intercropping with legumes, if that helps with the producing some more you know uh, benefits in terms of nitrogen management and in terms of fodder for animals. And same way in rice cultivation in Kashmir, I think there are different problems. Monoculture, rice after rice after rice, is a problem. Heavy tillage, we do 2 to 3 tillages every year, and that is so uh, unsustainable and degrades our soils pretty fast. And we are at a higher level of risk of the erosion. We are at an elevation. So I think that is not something sustainable, and we should rethink about that. And right now, the rice cultivation in Kashmir is uneconomical because our productivity level is very low, and our system of rice cultivation is not something that is profitable at all. And I know this is hard. People might think, hey, what is he talking about? Nobody will might be interested in rethinking the rice cultivation, but this is what it is. And what are the research needs is crop diversification, alternate rice cultivation systems. Maybe we should move away from rice cultivation or make long crop rotation, 3 or 4 year crop rotations, grow rice for a couple years. What those technologies are, I think that needs to be evaluated. I don't know what will be the sustainable way of doing rice in Kashmir. Integrated nutrient management is very important. And again, pesticide application technology is not up to the standard. We are using hand to apply herbicides, which is not only injurious to your health but also problematic. It doesn't give you that coverage. Those kind of issues, I think they are very important and should be taken up by the respective researchers. And then overall, I think the sustainable research needs, we need to have systems which are integrated agricultural production systems, include based upon the situation where you are, include crops, horticulture component, pastures, animal husbandry, wherever that system is, because it might this integrated agricultural production system might be different in one state compared to other state. It might be different in one part of Kashmir compared to other part of Kashmir. So what those systems are, they need to be developed and evaluated over the years. And then there has to be there's a greater need for collaboration among different people who are working on the different agricultural systems. And lastly, I would talk about agriculture extension services. I think that is one of the lacking issues, one of the serious issues in developing countries, that we don't have an integrated or robust, agricultural extension service, because all these technologies that we work on in universities, in university farms, they have to trickle down to the real user, to the grower, who is the real, workforce. So I think that is something has to be taken very seriously, and it needs policies at university level, at the nation level as well, at different levels. But I think this is one of the disconnect that we have in and with this, I know this was a pretty diverse topic, and I don't know how much justice I could have done with it. I tried my best, and with this, I thank all of you for listening to me patiently, and I can answer some of the questions if there are questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zahoor. Thanks a lot for your, a detailed and very elucidative this presentation touching every aspect of the sustainability. Good to hear you. This probably this is time for the participants to have an interaction with you. Can you please stop your screen sharing and on your video?
Yeah, I can stop my screen sharing, and then I can.
Yes, you can share your video, please. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. That's there.
Yeah.
We have again, as usual, Dr. Muhi with us. Dr. Muhi, okay, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. It was really nice hearing you. I just have a small query. I just want to know whether these cash crops, like we are known to have, we are known for this saffron and sericulture, whether they do have some role to play in this sustainable agriculture and all. Because I'm not an agriculturist, I'm basically from this animal veterinary sciences. So it would be really good to know whether they have some role to play in achieving this sustainable agriculture goals, what globally that have been set. I just want to know that only.
So what I can talk about is, that's a really interesting question, because, when you think about, as I said, different areas have different possibilities and potentials. So when you think about Kashmir, we have a good potential for sericulture, in different parts. I think there are units who are working on that, and there is a great potential. We have lands which are not suitable for rice cultivation, which are not suitable for any other production system. I think those areas should be put into, that kind of crop production system. And the same way, I'm a person who believes that, I think, a lot of times we hear that our saffron industry is suffering badly and no way out. I don't buy that argument that there is no way out, because I have followed literature just because of curiosity coming from Kashmir about saffron. So I have seen that people who came from Iran as postdoctoral scientists and other opportunities, they brought saffron here, and then they are growing it now in Vermont, in greenhouses, in fields. I think if we do that, it has a big role in sustainability, and it has the revival of saffron industry is very much possible in Kashmir. How to do that? I think we need to collaborate with people who are growing it on a large scale, like countries like Azerbaijan, Iran, Italy. All those countries, we need to have exchange of information with them, and I think they have a big role. Both these crops. I hope that answered the question. are there any more questions?
Yes.
Moni,
Uh,
Moni.
yes, sir. Good
Go ahead,
afternoon.
please. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that was really a nice presentation, sir. Actually, I'm from Assam. Okay, we are self-sufficient in vegetable production. Okay, during the Rabi season, am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. During the Rabi season, there is a huge market glut. Okay, so like some vegetables like tomato. So does the blue apple technology works in case of increasing the shelf life of tomato? Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Hello.
question. Yes, I heard your question. Yes, I heard your question. I think the Blue Apple technology, I think it has a good, applicability in vegetables. Yes,
Yeah.
I that when I was, trying to find a material for my presentation, I found yes, it has a good application for tomatoes and other vegetables as well. And it's a pretty nice technology. You can just put it in your refrigerator or where you are storing your, cabinet where you are storing your vegetables, and it will help. And the idea of sharing that was not to promote that same company. The idea was that things like that we need to develop in our place as well. Things like that.
To reduce the wastage of the vegetables or fruits like that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you,
AK
sir.
Panda, AK Panda, please can you unmute yourself? Yes, AK Panda. Go ahead, please. AK Panda, please. Yes, AK Panda, are you there? You are unmuted, AK Panda. If not, then we have again, as usual, Dr. Sheikh Firdaus.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir. And, very good afternoon to everybody. Sir, at the first set, I said it was an elegant and light presentation from your side. I absolutely respect your efforts and talk and time constraints and the efforts that you put during making your presentation, sir. I want to repeat that again, that I absolutely respect and honor your efforts and talk, sir. And with all due respect, I want to add to the current topic. I was more interested in precision farming, where you have heterogeneous crop fields and then their heterogeneous needs. You touched upon drone technology, sir, but I think one thing was missing. That was geothermal smart greenhouses. Greenhouses are a big thing in sustainable agriculture, sir. Then we were hearing from so many speakers that we are self-reliant. We are producing this much. We were having green revolution, white revolution, yellow revolution, blue revolution, and so much revolutions. But then at the farmers level, we have problems of fake and low quality pesticides and agrochemicals. Science and technology has a role there, that it should come with something that fake agrochemical use and the middleman that should come out. Then, sir, in irrigation, we have use of sprinklers, drip irrigation, and micro drip irrigation, sir. Then we have to emphasize on resource use efficiency. Though I'm from animal husbandry sector, but I have a little exposure to these, sir. And we have been using these agrochemicals very abundantly and indiscriminately. Then it leads to two problems. One is overusage. Second is pollution, sir. We should use those nitrogen as per the needs of the crop and the field. For that, we have like two major science and technology initiatives, like fertigation, and we have fertilizer deep placement, sir. And then there is frequent droughts and floods in Indian conditions, mainly droughts. So we need forecasting, and for forecasting we need science and technology to come in and play its role. Then, sir, environmental stability, we also need science and technology there. And all these areas we need science and technology. Then we should also recommend, this is also a part of science and technology, like mixed farming, where we integrate maybe livestock with crops, livestock with fishing, or poultry with fishing. So these all things were there in science and technology initiatives that we need. And I just wanted to add to the topic of sustainable food production, sir. If you can please share some knowledge or insights on these topics, please.
I agree with you completely, and there is so much to cover in a 45-minute presentation. That's why I am aware of all these technologies, and I appreciate that you brought
I
them up.
absolutely.
Uh, but the thing is, there was so much to cover, and I agree. These different technologies, they have a role, and they should be evaluated and adopted where they are fit, in different systems. I think the question is like the research part has to initiate it, has to be initiated. Then comes to the implementation part. I think my purpose was to talk about some of the things. We have to be self critical. What we are doing right now, we have to stop believing that this is the complete picture. Once we start questioning ourselves, in terms of what our cropping system is, what practices we are doing in animal production, in plant production, in different tools, and as you mentioned, different techniques of precision agriculture. I didn't provide a complete list, as I said, and I think the first and foremost thing is we have to start questioning ourselves. Are we self-sufficient? Are we doing is this how we are producing our food? Is this the ultimate way? When we start doing that, all these technologies, they will come into play. And I agree
Yes, sir.
completely. All these different technologies are there, and we just need to work on them.
Dr.
I say,
Javed, Dr. Ajaz is there. Yes, Dr. Ajaz.
thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Ajaz, are you here? Dr. Ajaz. Okay, Dr. Vijay. Vijay is there. Dr. Vijay, can you unmute yourself, Vijay? Vijay, can you unmute yourself? Yes. Vijay, go ahead. Yes.
Hello,
Ah,
sir.
yes. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
In
you are
one of
audible.
we had a very nice presentation by Jawar sir, sir.
Okay.
I want to ask how our extension system is lacking compared to US extension system, sir. Because I don't know even about US extension system. I am working in extension only. That's why I wanted to ask this.
So that's a really good question, Dr. Vijay. Thanks for asking this question. See, in US, a lot of the extension happens. The extension network is extensive. You have and there is a direct connection with the extension with the university. So university has different extension agents in different parts of the locality, and then on-farm demonstrations happen very often, like field days. When we will have field days, like I was in a weeds lab, so what we would do, we would bring people to the field, and then they can look for themselves what different technologies are and how they are comparing to their current system. So those on-field demonstrations, they are very important, and people get to see firsthand and do things. I think that is very interesting thing here. Other things that are even in the off season, like in the winter, what we do, we go to different parts of the different parts of the where we are, and then they will do these production management trainings and tools, share those tools. And I think the extensions, the outreach is very very high here. Like you will use all kind of social media, different kind of every university, every extension program they have their magazines or other information outlets. I think those kind of tools are very important. And then they involve industry, government, agricultural department, and university. All of them have the same, they work together, in that extension activities.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
Dr. Ajaz. Dr. Ajaz, can you unmute yourself? You have raised hand. You have raised the hand. Can you unmute yourself, Ajaz? Okay. Is there AK Panda? Who is this AK Panda? I don't know, they have raised their hands, but they are not able to unmute themselves. I'm very sorry to say that. Anyway, Dr. Zohur, yes, Ajaz is there.
Pavuri sir.
Huh?
Pavuri sir.
Yes,
Hello.
हाँ
Thank
जी,
you, sir, Dr. Ganai, sir, for this informative talk.
बताइए आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही है एजाज आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही है This is the problem with our network over here. Anyway,
I would like to hear from Dr. Shabir, sir, that the way we have in Kashmir, if we go for the spraying, we have multiple human or in developed countries.
you are not audible, Dr. Ajaz.
Okay, am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, I wanted to say that the way we have a spray schedule in developing countries, especially in Scots, Kashmir or in Kashmir Valley, but once we spray 18-20 agrochemicals, we have multiple human health problems linked to that spray, especially the cancer-related problem, gastric problems. What is the status of the use of the agrochemicals in horticulture in developed countries?
So I think I got the question, though it was cutting, the voice was cutting. So one of the important thing in following the, any kind of pesticide uses, it is safe only when you are using all those protective gear, gloves, you are using the coveralls, you are using the mask and the glasses, protection glasses. So one of the irony, the problem is in Kashmir, you will never see people using that. The proper PPE is never followed. So that's a big problem, when you are mixing your chemicals with the hand and then you're exposing yourself so much. I think that is a big issue we need to think about. I have made a video on I have a YouTube channel. You can go, you can see on that video that what is the problem in Kashmir regarding the pesticide use. That is the first and foremost thing, that we have to use these products in the way they are recommended, because the pesticide label that comes is a law. You cannot overuse. You cannot use, if you are not using the PPE in US, if you claim that you got some problem but you didn't use the PPE, then you are in trouble, because that product is recommended only when you are using the PPE and the right approach, how it should be. And one of the big problem in India is, and I think that question was earlier asked as well, how we can avoid the problem of spurious pesticides in, I think I forgot that, I missed that question. I think Dr. Firdos raised that up. So there are technologies like what we are doing, our company is doing, FMC. We are, every single product, this is a developing technology. We are, tagging the product with a code, and then the grower will have an application in their mobile, and then they can scan that code, and then that will confirm and will get the data that if they're using the, right product. Because the spurious product, this is a big problem in India. Actually, people have, a lot of times you will find the spurious products, which is not actually what it says. So that is a problem in India and other countries. I have received calls from even Poland. Last year I was handling an issue. They were spraying an insecticide from our company, and that was mixed with the herbicide, because sometimes the spurious chemicals, what they do, they will mix something else with it, small quantities, so that the agencies get confused. What is it? What is the product? So yes, superior products is a problem, but when it comes to use of pesticides, I don't think we are using them in the right way in Kashmir. And university needs to do that, is where extension needs to play a great role. And I have seen videos from SCOST where scientists are mixing. I'm sorry to say this, but scientists are mixing, are demonstrating the pesticide application and mixing by hand. I've seen videos that they are available. You can see them.
Good.
That is
good to know. Good to know. Yes, thank you, Dr. Zohur. Yes, I second you in the way we people here are dealing with our pesticides or the sprays, whatsoever it is. really extension work needs to be strengthened. And at the same time, what I feel personally, I'm not an expert in the agriculture, but what I feel in animal husbandry or in the agriculture, the problem is that our land holding is very small, and for the people, it is very difficult to adapt the technologies. Even if we have the technologies, who's going to care for those technologies? He's having a land, a little land, and I will go for with the technology. He says, जा यार कोई और काम नहीं है उसका उतना मतलब उसने पे ही उसका अपना चल रहा है उसका ट्रेडिशनल एक सिस्टम चल रहा है he is never interested to introduce a new technology in his field because that little land with him is sufficient for sustaining him and he's little interested in using the technologies. Not even that only, even I have seen in our own government farms, in our own own organized farm, we are really, little concerned with the new technology. We are producing the technology. We are having that, research with us. We produce the technologies. Believe me, we are not practicing those technologies in our own organized forms. That's the irony. How we can demonstrate that to the public? I have my own experience. I was working in a sheep farm. Okay, we have a technology of soaking, we have a technology of chopping, those fodders and all that, that increases the digestibility. Who cares for that? Nobody. Even if you have a chopper, nobody is going to chop that. They say, hey, भाई को साथ साइड ही और वो जाके उसको ले जाते हैं एनिमल के सामने. That's really pathetic. The thing is that the very important thing is that probably I feel so that land holding is very, very important. We don't have that organized. If we can have in future, I hope so. If we have these corporations, we have those. Something like that. Corporates come in, or there is, you can say, integrated some efforts there, that you can share your lands, you can share your animals even, and then you can have a big organized farm types where you can use the technologies. Probably in future, we hope so. Let's hope for that. That's I think my feeling. How far I am correct, I don't know.
I think I will second you on that. I think one of the good things, I'm an optimist, one of the good things that will happen or should happen in future is, as more people are getting educated in societies like Kashmir, they move away from agriculture. And I think one thing should happen, all that land that's left behind, where, not many people are interested in doing the agriculture, that should be consolidated, as you said, some co-ops or cooperatives should come and that they should manage that land as a cooperation, and then those kind of things might be helpful in adopting these advanced technologies. I think that will happen and should happen, I guess.
Inshallah.
That will be a good outcome of the people moving away from agriculture.
Yes, that's needed. Probably that's needed. Yeah. Okay, if there's no any other query from the speakers, may I request Fozia? Fozia is there anywhere?
Assalamualaikum, sir. Yes, sir, I'm here right now.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. There is one query someone has asked. Rinku ma'am is asking a question. It is in the chat. Is there a lag-based wax coating to preserve fruits?
I'm not aware, what kind of wax-based, products are available there, but I have seen that, read about some, papers where they have produced the wax from, organic sources, or not organic, like natural sources, plant sources, and use those for, fruit preservation. But I don't know exactly about this lag, if there is some source available from that.
Okay, Fozia.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Can you just propose the vote?
Good evening, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. It has been a great day with a good start. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks to Dr. Zohur Ahmed Ganai, sir, who is working as a scientist in Herbicide Discovery, USA. So we are really thankful to you for your unprecedented cooperation to speak on this occasion, irrespective of your busy schedule and the time lag between the two places. I'm really thankful to you, sir, and I owe my sincere thanks to you for this informative lecture with all our participants. I, on behalf of scientists, organizing committee, and the fraternity of FVSc&AH, thank you for your valuable talk. Have a great day, sir.
Thank
Over
you.
to you,
Thank you.
Pankari, sir.
Zohur, what will be the time here in USA this time?
It's 7:50, 7:50, 10
Morning.
to
Morning?
10. So this is yeah, yes, morning.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank
Zohur sir, there is Dr. Javed is asking one question, sir, please.
Javed, unmute Javed. Unmute yourself, Javed. Javed, you unmute yourself, please. Yes.
Sir, I had one query.
हाँ, आगे आइए.
Sir, actually, the answer you replied that agriculture is turning uneconomical. And that is why people are turning away from the agriculture. Because you said your last fifth slide is that the rice cultivation in Kashmir is turning uneconomical. The first part of my question is there any alternate crop which can be economical that will be in this Kharif season for these farmers? And second, how to turn this uneconomical agriculture into an economical one where the people will be attracted towards this?
So, if I answer your question as a scientist, I don't know what the technology is. There are possibilities I can think of that all other, scientists who are working in Kashmir can think of, and they can evaluate those technologies, and they should, because that is how we will get the scientific data, and then we can make the decision. And one of the technologies in the rice is the direct seeded rice. In direct seeded rice, what you do, you don't have to use the tillage the way we are using. We can go for minimum tillage, and we can go for, direct seeding saves you the cost of, transplanting, which is a high investment in the current system of rice production. And then, but there are challenges in the direct seeded rice. But overall, when we compare based on the literature that's available right now from India, probably not from Kashmir, but other parts of India, economically, direct seeded rice is better than the transplanted rice. So that will be my short answer. But there are other crops, that people should evaluate in Kashmir in place of this rice. And there are different possibilities. I don't know which one will be the exact situation, and it might be different in Tangmarg, where I am coming from. It might be different in Sopore. It might be different in Anantnag. So different possibilities that people should work on and evaluate.
Is it okay, Javed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please. Okay. Okay, Zohur, I am very thankful to you. You have spared your precious time, and this morning, I think you will have to have breakfast, or is it so?
Yeah, I'm going to have my breakfast, and
So that's without breakfast. So really, I am very thankful to you. I am highly obliged. Before your breakfast, you have spared time and you have spent with us more than an hour now. I think yes, more than an hour.
thanks for this opportunity, and I would like to thank my family and my wife especially for encouraging me to do this, interact with you people. I'm all thankful to my family and my parents back home who are being patient with me staying away.
Yes, exactly. All regards to your parents also, definitely, and this their contribution again there. They are seeing you away from their home. Good to see you, Zohar, here, and in future, I hope we have some. I mean, some of the interactions, and maybe in future you will have your services there. We need you there somewhere in research or as well as other things. We have that group, alumni group now.
Yeah.
So that's there. That's good. We are
Thank you.
with you people there in outside the country, and we hope and we look forward for your cooperation and favor in future too. Thanks a lot. So with this, we take leave from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Sir, please, Zahur Pampuri, sir, please just indulge me for 2 minutes for that announcement.
I think most of the participants have left that meeting. Isn't so?
So I think the 40 are still there, 39, 40 are there. So just
Okay,
I will make an
okay. If you have some message for this participants, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Dear participants, we are here to inform you that the organizing committee has decided to give the certificate of appreciation on the valedictory function to our 3 participants, whose ranks, that is one, first rank, second and third, will be determined, number 1, by the presentations. The presentation in PPT 3 to 4 slides on the current topic that we are discussing is zero hunger, and the queries that they will answer at the end of their presentations. This is not mandatory. Those who are interested, I'm only saying that those participants who are interested, they will propose their names tomorrow to any of our committee members, Dr. Zahur Pampuri sir, Ejaz sir, Dr. Javed, Hina, any one of us, and also submit the write-up. Not now, at the time of the presentation, so that we will introduce that presentation in our compendium. I'm again repeating, this is not mandatory for everyone. Only those who are interested will send their names and topics pertaining that towards our lecture, that is the training, that is zero hunger. Tomorrow till 9, 10, whatever they feel comfortable. Please make ensure that tomorrow is the last day, first day and the last day. You have to submit only your names and the topic.
Okay, Fooja, I think it's okay. We'll be with you participants on WhatsApp group as well as on email.
Yes, sir.
We will
Yes,
provide
sir.
you the details, what actually we want from you. We want your participation in our training program. We want that you present few slides so that you can express your views about about the ways, means by which you can do or you can achieve this zero hunger. Those any ideas about that, any innovations, anything you want to push in there in your presentations, that will be good there. And besides that, we want if you can have some book chapters. If we are going to have a book in the form of those lectures, if participants are interested, they can just forward us their articles so that we can incorporate those and we can give it a shape of a book. And at the same time, they can take advantage of it. They can be benefited by that. So that's our message. We will be there on WhatsApp as well as your email. So till then, I mean, by tomorrow, we'll be meeting there again. Till then, be safe and be sound, be healthy and happy. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.